Hello! Welcome to History in Retrograde. This is the podcast where we use the ancient art of astrology to help us better understand the past. I'm your co-host, Chandler O'Quinn, and joining us live via satellite is my mom. Hi, Mom!
Hi, Chandler!
Are you ready to begin this grand experiment?
I'm ready.
All right, let's begin. So, this being the inaugural episode, the first episode of the first season of History in Retrograde, I think it is especially important that I explain to you all the premise behind this show. For thousands of years, humanity, cultures across the world have been looking to the stars to help them understand things about themselves and even try and help predict the future. Well, we thought, what if we could use these same tools, but instead of looking forward, look to our past? So, in a moment, I will be giving my mother the birth date, time, and location of a random historical figure. Now, you, the viewing and listening audience, already know who this historical figure is. It's in the title of this episode. And I, of course, know who the figure is because I selected the person. But Mom has no idea who this could be. She will then take that information, enter it into the BAT computer, and out will come the astrological birth chart of this historical figure, where all the stars and planets were when this person was born. She will then give us an initial reading of this chart, everything that stands out to her about what the motivations and characteristics and morals and everything that she can gain from just a blind reading of this chart. I will ask a few discussion questions to kind of help see if we can find out more about this person without her knowing. Then I will reveal who this historical figure is, give a little bit of background about the person, and we will discuss how accurately this chart represents the motivations and what actually happened with this person. So, without further ado, we will begin. The birth date is December 21st, 1503.
Oh my. Okay.
We don't really have an accurate...
Is this a male or a female?
Yes, it is a male.
Okay, attention. You entered the year 1503. The Gregorian calendar is usually not used before 15th of October, 1582. Please append July to the year number.
Okay, so actually, this is great. This shows how great this program is. So I already gave you the information in the Gregorian calendar, and what they're asking is if that is what we want. So the Gregorian calendar, please append JUL actually stands for Julian. The Julian calendar was used prior to 1582. So if I had given you the Julian year, we would then put JUL at the end of the year. So we can do that because in the Julian calendar it was December 14th, 1503.
Okay.
So if you wanted to do that, December 14th, 1503, and then put JUL at the end of 1503.
I don't know if it needs a space or not.
Well, we'll find
see
out.
What happens. Okay.
And then,
right.
So we don't really have an accurate birth time, so it's recommended that we go with 12 o'clock, noon.
Noon. And where?
So it's Saint Remy. The country is France.
Okay. Do I spell out Saint?
No, I think it can just be ST. M-Y.
R-E-M-M-E? Oh, okay. Which one is it?
De Provence.
It's going to be one of...
So the third one.
This one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm.
December 14th, 1503, in the Julian calendar, Saint Remy de Provence, France.
Okay. We'll go with this one. Mm-hmm. Okay. Another very, very, very dynamic person. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Wow. Okay, this looks like it's going to be fun. And I always like to give a disclaimer for myself, Chandler. I am not a professional astrologer. I have been doing this as, well, more than a hobby. I have worked in professional capacities with other professional astrologers as their executive assistant, but I will give you my best information as we move forward. Okay. Wow. This is a lot of grand chimes. Okay. So, I always like to start with North Node because that is the direction that a person is supposed to go with their life. They're supposed to go in this direction. And this person has North Node at 28 degrees Pisces. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for me. Better? Okay. And it is in the 12th house. So this person is karmically attached to the direction of their life. All right. Now the 12th house is ruled by Pisces. Okay. And this person has North Node in Pisces at 28 degrees. So it's within the orb of Aries. Okay. So they have kind of two sides to this karma. They're either Piscean, which can be very supernatural abilities. They can have natural psychic abilities. They can have more than likely very much psychic abilities since it's in Pisces. And also
Okay.
Uranus in Pisces at 8 degrees. So not conjunct by orb, but also Uranus in Pisces. Now, whenever we see the Uranus in the 12th house, which is the house of karma, Uranus is ruled by Aquarius, and it's really unexpected things happening. So I would say that this person has maybe even unexpected bouts with abilities, or this person is quite the prophet, like a person who would offer information. I don't know. I almost want to say that this is a person who would be very capable of predicting future events or whatever. Okay, so I always like to look at North Node first just to see where they are. Now, the South Node of that, the opposite side of the North Node is, of course, the South Node, which is the direction sometimes people take, right? Which would be, in this case, more of a partnership. Their South Node would fall here, and it would be like they would be more interested in having partners and maybe even a relationship or whatever. But this person doesn't have anything in the 7th house, so I'm going to lean this direction, that this person did actually work with these abilities. Okay. Moving around here, we have the 11th house. Okay. And in the 11th house, we have part of it in Capricorn and part of it in Aquarius. Now, this person has Venus in Aquarius along with Neptune in Capricorn, but this Neptune in Capricorn has fallen into the 12th house, which is the house of groups and gatherings of people and friends and associates and anywhere there are groups. So I would say that this person with Venus in Aquarius, I always like to go with the light side of Aquarius, which is very humanitarian, very concerned with humanitarian things, right? So since it's a man having a Venus in Aquarius, it would make him, or it should make him, want to help people and or want to have a female in his life that is very active in helping people. But again, the very dark side of Aquarius is totalitarian rule. So if this person were evil, then they could go the direction of absolute totalitarian rule, along with this Neptune in Capricorn, which could make this person almost a magical manipulator, because Scorpio and Capricorn both have manipulative qualities. It's just that Scorpio is usually doing it for their own personal gain, their maybe weird sexual things or whatever, and Capricorns tend to do it for money or position or power, right? So this person could.
So what would be the flip side of that? Because right now you're talking about the dark side and that magical manipulative part. Is there a positive side to that?
Well, Capricorns are ruled by Saturn. They can be very parental. They can be very fatherly, right? So this person could be like a father to the people, but that Neptune always gives you the magical quality. Neptune is where you have depending on where your Neptune is and what it's in. With Neptune in Capricorn, I would say that this person would have a very good ability with probably business, like or maybe even ruling. They would have a quality to them that probably softens some of the normal intensity Capricorns can have. All right. But now we move over here to the 10th house, which is career, and the midhaven, right? Which is all about the career. And this person has Sun at 1 degree Capricorn, okay? And then has Mercury at 4 degrees Capricorn in the 10th house. So having Sun conjunct Mercury in any house, in any sign, is going to give you a better ability for your life, right? So you're going to be able to have a better, it combines to give you a really good strength in communications and how you move forward in the things that you want in your life, okay? And this person has both of them in the 10th house, which means this person could have, with this 10th and 11th house combined, be very successful, okay? But also could be, the dark side of that could be all of this brilliant career ruling ability could be used for manipulation and gain and still be successful. I would say that this person would probably be successful either way. There would have to be something very tragic that would happen to make this person not successful, because I think they would be very successful. Then power in the 8th house, with Pluto in the 8th house, right, in Sagittarius, and Moon in Scorpio. Oof. Oh, okay. So, Moon in Scorpio is going to give this person a real sex appeal. I have never known anyone who has Moon in Scorpio that did not come across with a lot of sex appeal.
Okay.
I don't know if this person was well liked in that way. And then, I mean, the other side of that would be that he would like really sexy women. Or maybe his mother was kind of Scorpio-ish, so maybe his mom was really hot. I don't know. But Pluto in the 8th house, and anything in the 8th house is the house of inheritance, okay? And it could be power, because Pluto is power, but Pluto is also death and rebirth. Now, if you have Pluto in the 8th house, there's either going to be a lot of death in, I mean, because it's 8th house, so it's 8th house is ruled by Scorpio. But this person has Pluto in Sag, not in Scorpio. So this power comes from kind of a ability to just ride up to something and conquer it. Is any of this making sense?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Good. That's always helpful when things make sense. Okay, so a Sagittarius is a fire sign, right? But of the 3 fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, Sagittarius is the more cavalier one, right? Sagittarius will get an idea and just ride towards it, just go. Where a Leo will look at it from a different perspective. A Leo and an Aries, I don't know, in a way to me, Leos and Aries are more similar than Sagittarius. Sagittarius seems to be more earthy, more inclined to want to be in nature and be like, I don't know, in the dirt. There's something about Sagittarius that's very outdoorsy, hunting, that kind of thing, right?
And so what you're saying is that this person would be in tune with nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they should be really...
Because of the Pluto in the 8th house.
And kind of use that, because it's a powerful aspect for this person. But I'm curious about the moon. Okay, so let's go down here to Jupiter conjunct Saturn conjunct Mars in the 4th house, which again, 4th house is home, and it's in Cancer. So for all of this cavalier, manipulative, gifted, interesting karma with being a prophet, this person should also have been very much in need of getting nurtured in their home. Their their luck, everything that has to do with their luck. Jupiter is all luck and benevolence and gifts from the universe and all of these things, and joy, okay? It falls in the 4th house. So somehow their home is very connected. It's a very important foundation. Some people don't need that. You know what I mean? Like, some people can travel the world every day and be perfectly happy. This person would have needed a home base. Okay? And this person has Saturn at 15 degrees Cancer conjunct Jupiter. So not only is this person being gifted nurturing things from the universe in their home, they are also having to be very responsible for that. All right? And it is a goal Like, they're very driven by this. Like their home is their goal. Like if they were a king and they were extremely loyal to their homeland, their home. There's something really important about this person, their home. Okay? And then they have Chiron in the fifth house. Fifth house is also in Cancer. These lessons that also have to do with children. There could have been some sadness around children because 29 degrees is the degree of sorrow. And so there could be some sadness around children or, I don't know. I mean, usually it has to do with Leo. So it's either like entertaining or something. There's some lesson there regarding that aspect of it. So, but I'm curious about the mother and women and the powerful women, because this person would have had powerful women because they have this Pluto and the moon both in the 8th house. So, or their mother could have been a powerful woman, or their mother could have left them significant inheritance or something along that line. But this person, I don't see that this person, maybe I'm completely wrong, would have had a lot standing in their way. This person is, I would say, very fortunate and does not have a lot of, I guess, maybe whatever they would do in their life, they win. Does that make sense?
A little bit.
Or they expect to win, or they're just used to it. Okay, so I don't know if I've done well or not. I don't know. Do you want to ask me any questions?
You know, I think you've already covered a lot of the questions that I would have asked.
Wow, okay.
I think that there are a lot of things here that we'll find out in a moment are very accurate, and then I think some that are insights because, we're dealing with someone from the 16th century. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily know everything about their home life or the women in their life or things. So this is going to help us maybe in figuring out what their home life would have been like, because we really don't have the records to show that. So I'm very excited to reveal this to you. Are you ready?
Okay.
So right now, actually, let me summarize the things that you have given us from the birth chart. Okay. Karma, very important. Supernatural abilities, psychic, unexpected bouts with not sure what I wrote down there, but prophet, you said prophet several times, predict the future, humanitarian, want to help people, magical qualities, a sense of business and success, happened, communications and achieve life goals, someone who rides towards problems and conquers them. In tune with nature, home is very important. Powerful women play a part in their life, and maybe has a sex appeal upon can get women to be very attracted to him. So you are looking at the astrological birth chart of Michel de Nostredame, otherwise known as Nostradamus.
That just gave me the chills. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. Yeah. This person was going to be a psychic no matter what happened. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. Very, very, very interesting. Oh my. Okay.
So, Michel de Nostredame was born to Jaume and Renier Nostredame in the Provence part of, it would soon become part of France. The father's family was Jewish, but the grandfather converted to Catholicism during the Inquisition. His maternal grandfather was a physician, and the legend credits him with really taking Michel under his wing and exposing him to the teachings of astrology, of spiritualism, of magic, and Kabbalah. Um, Nostradamus studied at the University of Avignon for 1 year, and then the university had to close because of the plague. He then spent a number of years as an apothecary going across France. He returned to the University of Montpellier, but he was expelled because while he was in between universities, he was practicing apothecary, which was looked down upon by the university. So it is a little bit unclear as to whether he was actually given a degree and was an actual doctor, or if he just played one on TV. But he did act like he was a doctor, and between 1529 and 1531, there was a major outbreak of the plague, and Nostradamus gained notoriety for his treatment of the plague. He insisted on cleanliness. This was a time when people were just piling up dead bodies everywhere in the town. Cleanliness was not on anyone's mind. Dirt and infection and everything was everywhere. When Nostradamus would come into a town, he would demand that the piled up bodies would have to be removed from the town. He would demand that the water sources be cleaned so that people had clean water to drink. He made sure that he washed himself with soap and water before performing procedures on people, and insisted on the sick people also washing themselves. He also gained notoriety for making these rose pills, which we now know that these rose pills have a concentrated amount of vitamin C. So the cleanliness and these rose pills gave him a much higher success rate with dealing with the plague than many of the other doctors of the time. So even if Nostradamus had never written anything down, he would have been remembered because of how well he treated people as a doctor during these outbreaks of the plague. In 1530s, he was married, and we don't know the name of the woman that he married. He would have a child, but while he was off traveling France taking care of other people with the plague, his wife and son died from the plague. And so it was a lot of people started thinking, well, if he can't even save his own family from this, how good is he anyway? And it was a real mark of shame, and he was very sad about the loss of his wife and child, and so he just started traveling. He went throughout the Western world. He went to Italy and Greece and Turkey and Egypt, and what we now know is while he was doing this, he was gaining more and more knowledge about, the divination and predicting the future and spiritualism from all of these different places and all these different cultures. But he returned to France after 9 years. And he settled down. This is something that I'd like to do. He settled down with a rich widow in Salon de Provence. That's a life goal of mine. He would later have 6 children. That happened in 1547. 3 years later, he wrote his first almanac. And this was a very popular way for people to make money, especially with all of this knowledge of astrology that he had, and knowing where the stars and the moons, and he also knew the weather patterns and everything. So writing it all down into an almanac to show what the next year's season was going to be like helped farmers and having good crops and harvest for the seasons. within these almanacs, he started including these other predictions of the future. The way that they say that he started doing these predictions is he would just set up a tripod and a bowl of water, and he would put a twig into the water, and then he would just stare into the ripples and be taken off. And it might be 2 hours that he would be gone in these visions of seeing the future. And when he woke up after these 2 hours, he had written down these poems, these quatrains that were predicting all these certain parts of the future. This, by 1555, had gained the attention of one of the most powerful women in Western history, Catherine de Medici. Catherine de Medici was the Queen of France, married to Henry II, and she asked Nostradamus to come and provide predictions for her children. Nostradamus came, and he predicted that out of her 7 children, 4 would die and 3 would survive. And that is exactly what ended up happening. 4 of the children died, and 3 were left surviving. Nostradamus also started writing down his predictions in what he called the centuries. And so these were over 1,000 predictions that he wrote into 10 books of 100 predictions each. One of these predictions stated, the young lion will overcome the old, and on the field of single combat, he will pierce his eyes through a golden cage. 2 wounds become 1, then he dies a cruel death. In 1559, the husband of Catherine de Medici, King Henry II, engaged in a joust with Count Montgomery. Montgomery's lance shattered, and a splinter entered the king's golden visor, piercing him in his eye and temple. He lay dying for 10 days until he succumbed to his injuries. Many people at the time viewed this as proof that Nostradamus is correct. Some people wanted to go out and kill him right then because he had predicted this horrible thing. He must be in tune with devil worship and Satan and all these things. But because of his relationship with Catherine de Medici, that did not happen. And Nostradamus remained a vital confidant of the queen throughout the rest of his life. Through these books of the centuries, he predicted all sorts of things. And whether or not you believe that these predictions are true or that any of this actually bears out, the fact that he did all this and wrote all this down and the impact that he had during his time, and then what we're still talking about him 500 years later, proves that he was truly a Renaissance man. I believe that it's really a shame that he's not said in the same breath as Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo and these other men of science and knowledge, because really he was. If he was not actually predicting anything, then what he was the world's greatest historian. Because you could see all these predictions of war and famine and tyrants and destruction and fires. They're all things that had already happened, and then he put them into these poems. And because of the Inquisition, he put it into vague enough terms to where they can apply to things as we discover them throughout the centuries after his death. But he's absolutely one of my favorite historical figures. Anytime I had the opportunity to do a project about a Renaissance figure, I always chose Nostradamus. I would actually ask the teacher, because his name wouldn't be on the list, I would say, can I do Nostradamus, and get special be able to do that for the project. I think that he is fascinating and really important for what we're doing here, because he was an excellent historian and an excellent astrologer, and he put both of those abilities together to do what he did, and had the impact that he has to this very day.
Well, this is amazing. I had no idea. And yeah, that is just amazing.
So are there any things on here that make more sense to you now that you know that it is Nostradamus?
Well, what I would like to do actually is when we go into the other aspects and we go back and visit other things, I think in another episode I might want to play around with possible birth times to see if what kind of changes would be made if these were to float around in different houses, because no matter how you look at it, he has all the planets in the places, right? He has Venus in Aquarius, which would have made him want to be a humanitarian. So clearly he was using the good side of everything, right? He was using the fatherly side. All that Capricorn that he had was using as a very good father, right? So, yeah, all of this, I mean, powerful woman, it's all very interesting. And the situation with the sadness regarding a child. So there's a lot of information here, and there's a lot of ways to play with this to look at it in so many different ways. But all the things that I've said about this are accurate, as those are not going to change. All of those things are set at the day he was born, right? The only thing that could possibly move if we change the time might be the moon in Scorpio, but I don't think so because it's right in the middle. It's exactly at 15 degrees. So that's probably not going to change. Everything is going to stay the same.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, it was maybe less than a minute before you said the word prophet. It's all written out right there, and I think that all the stuff on the bottom, we might not necessarily have known how important home was to him, but he traveled the world, but he came back. And I think that and his, loyalty to the king and queen, he wrote his whole prediction about the jousting match, about the golden cage, to try and prevent the king from engaging in that, and he did not listen. So that I think that there was a great love of country and had a great loyalty to his kingdom
Absolutely.
and home.
Yeah, he is a fascinating man. I really enjoy reading his quatrains and learning about him. Also, I think he is amazing and should absolutely be in the same category or in the same timeline or referred to as well as Leonardo da Vinci.
All right. I mean, if I can put my services into one goal, all of these other Renaissance men have Ninja Turtles named after them. Donatello, Raphael, Leonardo. I want a Ninja Turtle named after Nostradamus.
I can agree with that. I think that's perfect.
It is the least that he deserves.
Absolutely.
So is there anything else to add about our exploration of Nostradamus' chart here?
Well, the one thing about Nostradamus and looking at this chart is that clearly, I mean, he did have tragedy in his life, of course, but I mean, I don't know that anyone can go an entire lifetime without having some tragedy in their life, but he is an amazing person by his chart. You just look at the chart and then it's amazing.
Yeah, and I think even the lesser things, like he was successful with his books and things. I mean, it's one of the rare books that was made 500 years ago that is still being printed today. So the success that he had financially with that, and the fact that there were times where he was questioned by the Inquisition, but was able to get out of it, either by physically getting away from them or by just showing what he was doing was not wrong at all, even by the standards of the Inquisition. So I think that, the idea of a person who runs into a problem, I mean, if I was around back then, I would not have run into a town where everyone was dying of the plague to try and help them. It's that's a thing that you want to stay away from, but he
Right.
clearly
Yeah.
ran right into it.
Absolutely. He had a great love for humanity. A really great love for humanity. And the need to nurture them. He had a need to nurture them. It wasn't something that would be a choice. This is something that this person had to do. It was within them to have to do it.
And Nostradamus himself would have known that, because he. But what I was struck by doing all the research is that the first thing that they taught doctors was astrology. That they would want to know what your birth date was so that they could know how to treat you. And over the many years that has, because it's not an exactly proven science, that has left us. But I think, if you go into a hospital and the nurse asks you what your sign was, I don't know, maybe that might help in what kind of treatments you need. But I think it'd be interesting to have your little white wrist bracelet say, you're, how much you weigh, and you're an Aries. I think that on our scale of right on the money to way out in outer space, this chart definitely is right on the money. This shows exactly who Nostradamus was set to be from the moment he was born, and the man that we still study all these many centuries later. It was all set right then.
I have to agree with you. I see all of the aspects that make him who he was right here in his chart. Everything.
We'd like to thank you all for listening to this first episode of History in Retrograde. Please like, share, subscribe to the podcast. We're going to be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere. This is a podcast that's all about stars, so please give us a rating of 5 stars and give us a review on there as well. Every little bit helps. And without further goings on, as long as all of your houses are in order and the stars are aligned, everything will be just fine.
Thank you very much.
So long.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, and please come back.
Salal Creek Studio.